We're always taught that finishing a goal is the end of the road. You cross the finish line and that's it. But what if that's all wrong? In this explainer, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea, that completion isn't the end at all. It's the ignition point for real, sustainable, lifelong growth.
So if you've just wrapped up a big project, maybe you finished a course or hit a huge personal milestone, this is for you. Seriously, you did what most people just don't. You saw it all the way through. And that single act of completion, it has already changed the game for you, whether you can see it yet or not.
Okay, so here's the big mindset shift we're talking about. Society basically tells us to see completion as the end, the final chapter. We're going to completely reframe that. Completion isn't the end, it's the ignition. It's not about being done, it's about learning how to live in constant forward motion. All right, so let's jump into our first big idea. How do we actually transform that finish line into a brand new starting block? And this is the heart of it, right here. That feeling of being done, of relief, that's not the end. It's you arriving at the real beginning. Everything you did to get to this point, think of that as just the warm-up. The real, transformative work is just getting started. So, the big question is, how do we make this shift actually happen? Well, the very first step, the first crucial practice, is reflection. But hang on, this isn't about getting lost in the past. This is about using what you've just been through to consciously and deliberately shape your future. See, when we talk about reflection here, we're not just talking about daydreaming. It's an active process. It's how you take everything you've just learned and evolved through and turn it into actual wisdom. It's what connects the dots from where you've been to where you're headed next.
I absolutely love this phrase, a calibration forward. It's perfect. Because reflection isn't just a passive review of what happened, it's you actively adjusting your course. You're taking all this new data from your experiences and using it to recalibrate, to aim more precisely at what you want in the future. And get this, there's actually some cool psychology behind this whole thing. Researchers call it temporal self-appraisal, which is just a fancy way of saying you compare who you are now to who you were in the past. But here's the key, the most important part. It's all about fostering compassion for yourself, not criticism. You're not beating up your past self, you're just seeing the progress. It's solid proof that you have grown.
Okay, so reflection is huge, but it's really only half the story. The next stage is where the magic really happens. It's called integration. This is where we stop just thinking about growth and start making it real in our day-to-day lives.
And this is such a critical point. You can read all the books, listen to all the podcasts, but information by itself doesn't transform you. Integration does. Real transformation only happens when you take those lessons and you weave them into the tiny threads of your everyday life.
And the best part? This doesn't have to be some big, complicated thing. You can build a really simple rhythm for yourself. Maybe reflect for a few minutes each week. Recommit to your big picture goals once a month. And just be ready to refine your approach whenever you learn something new. Easy.
So what does this actually look like day to day? Because it's not about these huge, dramatic moments. Real growth shows up in the tiny, micro decisions. It's that split-second pause you take before you react. It's choosing to protect your energy instead of saying yes to everything. It's just starting small, but doing it every single day.
But let's be honest, how do we keep this going? Especially when, that first burst of motivation inevitably starts to fade. The answer isn't just to try harder or find more willpower, it's about building better systems.
And this is the absolute core philosophy here. It's a concept that's often called Kaizen in Japan. The idea is that consistency will always beat intensity. So we're talking about forgetting those short, intense sprints that lead to burnout. It's the small, daily actions compounded over time that create unbelievable transformation. And the science totally backs this up. So why 66 days? What's the magic number there? Well, research from University College London found that's the average time it takes for a new behavior to become automatic. That's the magic moment where it stops feeling like work and just becomes what you do. It runs on its own.
Okay, so here's a super practical way you can build your very own growth continuity plan. First, don't overwhelm yourself. Just define 3 core habits that anchor you in your best self. Next, build in those reflection checkpoints we talked about. And finally, and this is so important, remember your plan needs to be flexible. It should bend, not break. All right, let's get real for a second. Let's talk about the journey itself. Because, spoiler alert, it's not always going to be a smooth ride. This next part is all about mastering the art of momentum, especially when things get tough. And this slide just lays it out so perfectly. Because listen, resistance is going to pop up. You're going to drift off course. You will stumble. It happens. But the difference now is that you have the antidotes. Your awareness lets you spot the resistance early. Reflection is what pulls you back when you drift. And those systems you built, they're there to catch you when you fall.
And this right here is what I really want you to hear. Everything you've already done, every bit of progress that got you to this point, it's not just a step forward. It is tangible, undeniable proof.
It's proof that your intention is way more powerful than your circumstances.
It is proof that simply becoming aware is the first, most powerful step to rewiring your entire life. And it is absolute proof that once you get a taste of what it feels like to be truly aligned, going back to the old way of doing things just isn't an option anymore.
See, in the end, this whole blueprint for growth, it isn't some checklist you finish. It's not a project you complete. It's who you're becoming.
So I'm going to leave you with this one question to really think about. As you step from this moment of completion into your very next chapter, what is the one crucial lesson from the journey you just finished that you are going to consciously, intentionally carry forward with you?